feel incredibly fortunate to have encountered the Buddhist teachings and some beings who've spent their lives aligning, practicing, embodying these teachings, helping enable me to recognize their incredible truth and trustworthiness. So for this talk, I gave a quote first to contemplate from the Buddha. It's from the Dhammapada. It gives verse 42. More than a thief, more than an enemy, a misdirected mind brings one to harm. More than a thief, more than an enemy, a misdirected mind brings one to harm. The Buddha is not saying that a thief can't harm us when we feel like someone is wrongfully taking something from us. There's pain there, there's a harm, a very real harm. And an enemy, someone who seems intent on hurting us and that which is precious to us. But the Buddha's wanting us to encourage, if all our attention is outward directed, and imagining that's the whole of the problem, we're in actually more peril. More than that, a misdirected mind brings one to harm. Not only brings one to harm, a misdirected mind, depending on the power that we have, when our mind's misdirected and brings us to harm, guess what? We also end up harming those in our sphere, those in our orbit, those in our realm. Like now we're experiencing in this, what's sometimes called by the Buddha the Dharma ending age, that period after his Dharma when the virtues thin in the world. And there's a lot of wrong view, and there's a lot of people being swept away by demonic energies, just the hatred, greed, confusion. Not only Buddha talks about bringing one to harm, but bringing the whole world to harm, and all Earth's creatures. So I wanted to contemplate a particular teaching that the Buddha gave, the Vitakkasaņțhāna Sutta. Vitakka is sometimes translated as thinking. Santana is a word which means to quell or to arrest, or it's about the subduing or the resting or the ending of the harmful thoughts or the distracting thoughts or the thoughts that misdirect the heart, so that the heart can be returned to its unified, clear, knowing state, and that incredible tool can be used for what needs to be done, for one's welfare, for the welfare of those around one, for the welfare of the whole, because actually this reality is not split. So I just want to get a feeling that this particular teaching, I've used, continued, I'm still a beginner, but there's a training, just to give you a feeling of how the Buddha was talking. So remember, we got to learn how to use sutras. When the Buddha says, when a monk, okay. Oh, well, he's talking to the monks. He's talking to all practitioners. Anyone who's committed to the way. When a monk is intent on the heightened mind, this is a mind that's more purified. when we're consciously engaged in the purification of the heart, when we realize our mind is so scattered, what can we do with it? Or when it's just so obscured by restlessness, anxiety, ill will, feverish thinking we're missing something, have to get something. Yes, every moment has within it the precious true nature of things, but the heightened mind is talking about this area of samadhi. And it's not just when we're on the cushion, that it can begin, but when we're in our daily life, learning how to cultivate a poised, composed. That's the heightened mind. The Buddha said when we're doing this, there are 5 themes that one should attend to at the appropriate time. Which 5? So just to give you a feeling of how the Buddha talks, there's the case where this word is evil, unskillful thoughts. Evil here is just thoughts that lead to real harm. For example, the thoughts that lead to just slaughtering people, to just being totally insensitive to what impact our actions have on others, or maybe even delighting in harming others. That's called an evil thought, or a thought that's just unskillful, unwholesome. There's the case where evil, unskillful thoughts connected with greed, hatred, and delusion arise in a practitioner while he is referring to or attending to a particular theme. So let's say we are trying to meditate. These 5 are mainly used around our own individual practice. When we're trying to learn how to train this mind to be helpful, to see clearly, to not just get us and others into trouble. So the theme, we might be working with the breath, we might be working with kindness, we might be working with something that helps us return to something that feels sane. But then we're getting pulled by this unwholesome habit. When this is happening, so this first theme the Buddha said we should attend, he should attend to another theme apart from that one, connected with what is skillful. And when we do that, in other words, we're diverting our attention to something, if we're caught up in something like just hate or addictive, just, for example, maybe eating because we're stressed, and we feel that impulse, and we can turn the mind back to something that's good. Now, Buddha gives an image with each one. He said, just as a skilled carpenter or his apprentice would use a small peg to knock out a large one, in the same way, the practitioner steadies their mind right within, settles, and unifies it. This first one is, imagine knocking out a coarser peg with a more refined one. So the mind's caught up in some kind of irritation, paralysis. Oh gosh, it's just too difficult. What can I do? I mean, the world's just falling apart. What can little old me do? So that's happening. So this knocking that out with a finer peg, a small, like for example, when we're able to go, oh, what's happening now? Just even that thought, hey, what's happening now? Help us see that, for example, the what's happening now is a thought associated with clear seeing. It's honest. That just knocks it up, and we're able maybe to see, oh wow, I'm collapsing in anxiety. Going to Kuan Yin's name is an example, or Bhutto, of just, we might mix with that sense of despair or overwhelm. Namo Kuan Shin Puso. So the overwhelm is still there, but we're directing the attention to the one who's listening at ease. This first move, it's the first one. It already requires some qualitative presence that's able to recognize, hey, what's happening here is not so skillful. So to be able to knock that out, not with ill will, All of these methods, it's really helpful to be patient, to be kind, but to bring the mind back. It might be a thought of kindness. It might be come back to the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. That's another example when we're really caught up in some mood, worry or restlessness or ill will or an addictive tendency. To remember, I'm breathing in and out. It's swelling and subsiding. Well, the Buddha said we might do that, but then what if, and that already is a yoga. It's already one of the tools. It's the first one. And that tool can be very profound too. You might think, it sounds like aversion. It doesn't have to be aversion. Even the thought that tool is at the heart of Kuan Yin's meditation too, when one is what's called chan, or returning the hearing. Even if you put a tiny thought in like, who's so caught up in this? Who's caught up in this? That's a finer pin that allows the heart, rather than being preoccupied with the unwholesome habit that's sweeping us away, to recognize, hey, what's the wider context? But if the first one doesn't work, the second one's very important. If the evil, unskillful thoughts connected to greed, hatred, and delusion still arise in the practitioner while they're trying to do this heightened mind practice, the Buddha said we should do this. He's quoting, "Truly these thoughts of mine are unskillful, blameworthy. These thoughts of mine result in stress. As the practitioner is scrutinizing their drawbacks, those evil, unskillful thoughts are abandoned and subside. He then is able to steady, or they are able to steady the mind, settle it, unify it." And then the image the Buddha gives. Just as a young woman or a young man or a young person fond of adornment would be horrified. So someone that maybe looking in the mirror and seeing, that looks nice, yeah, it's looking pretty good. The Buddha said someone fond of adornment would be horrified, humiliated, and disgusted if the carcass, so this is if the carcass of a snake or a dog or a human being were hung from their neck. And you think, why is the Buddha saying that? This number 2 is very important. We're giving ourselves a little Dharma talk. This is a skill that's very important. To be able to say, hey, where's this leading? We all have, I certainly know I have, tendencies that just get us in trouble. I think I should have a PhD in worry and get caught up in worry. Addictive distraction. We can ask the question, where's this going? Where does it lead to? The drawbacks. Yes, maybe there's some pleasure in distraction but is it ephemeral, that pleasure? So we're learning how to use thoughts just to reflect on this tendency. And imagine if we then looked in a mirror and we had a carcass of a dead animal around us. We'd be disgusted. We might react to this, but the Buddha's encouraging us how to get some perspective on our habits. Again, it's to be done with kindness and compassion, because our deep-rooted habits are, the Buddha called them asavas. They flood. We get swept by them. The fear, the worry, the obsession, the passion, the ill will, the confusion. Contemplate drawbacks. Then if still that doesn't work, the Buddha said there's a third one that is good that we learn how to practice. if still the thoughts of greed, hatred, and delusion still arise in the practitioner, then they should pay no mind and pay no attention to those thoughts. Just as a good person with good eyes, not wanting to see forms that have come into range, would close his eyes or look away, in the same way the monk steadies, or the practitioner steadies the mind, settles it, unifies it. Someone might think, oh, the Buddha's teaching repression. He's teaching the skill. Yes, all of these can be used as an extreme, but that image of looking away. You know, have you ever, when we were learning how to ride a bike maybe a long time ago, if you just getting used to it and you see a rock, oh, I don't want to hit the rock, I don't want to hit the rock, but we're obsessed with the rock. We run right into the rock. Or a sore tooth, the mind just keeps obsessing about it. Learning to look around things. As if closing the eyes. That's a conscious, doesn't have to be done with hate, to look around. This is a yoga, a very important skill. Like right now I'm talking, so I can be thinking about the words that I'm saying. But if I'm not just focused on the words, I can also not give so much attention to the words and focus on the presence, the awareness, what's around it. Just like as I can focus on, the clock's in front of me and I can just see the clock, How much time do I have? Okay. But what if one is noticing what's around the clock? You're not knocking it away, but this learning not to attend to. So we're becoming more agile with our attention. This is a training from the fine peg, the small peg, knocking out the gross peg, bringing the mind to a different object, using thinking to contemplate drawbacks and dangers. Hey, where is this taking me? And the third one is learning how to not attend to in the same way. Look around. We're getting more agile with our attention. It's so practical. Number 4, okay, our deep-rooted tendency. Welcome to the club. We all have these deep sankharas that are humbling. That's why kindness and compassion, and it's so helpful to remember that no matter what happens, all of this, even if we're a mess and have failed on every level, all of that is happening within the stainless, unshakable, true nature that no one can take away. But the 4th yoga, which is very, very useful, it's called calming or relaxing the sankhara. The 4th one, the image is a very useful image. Someone who's walking fast. They're walking fast. Oops. And they have the thought, I'm walking fast. Do I need to walk so fast? What if I were to walk slower? Oh. Someone walking slower were then to think, I'm walking slow. Do I need to walk? What if I were to stand? Oh. I'm standing. Do I need to stand? What if I were to sit? I'm sitting. Oh, do I need to sit? What if I were to lie down? This number 4 is very, very important one. It's more like vipassana. It's more like a more wider perspective. We know we've got something that's going on that's fast, that has its, and we're learning how to, so we're feeling into that, and we're being interested. So there's an inquiry here. What's feeding this? So there's inquiry. Well, what's this fast walking about? Where, So we're learning a little bit about how to relax the sankhara, relax the current, from walking fast to walking slow, to standing, to sitting, to lying down. It's a very patient one. With the bending, the inclination to rest. And then number 5, it's in the toolbox. and I preface this, I think it's very important that we have it in the toolbox. But in our culture, there's also sometimes that's our only tool, and that can be a real disaster. The fifth one is, if evil, unskillful thoughts connected with greed, hatred, delusion still arise in the practitioner after this relaxing the formations, then the Buddha says, then with teeth clenched, tongue pressed against the roof of the mouth, one should beat down, constrain, and crush mind with awareness. Kittisaro, you've just ruined my day. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Those evil, unskillful thoughts then are abandoned and subside, just as a strong man were to seize a weaker man by the head or throat or shoulders and wrestle them, beat them. And you think, whoa, wait a minute. This is the fifth. It's the most, it should be used incredibly sparingly. But to me, this is the yang. If our practice has no yang in it, when it's too much yang, when the world is so dominated at the moment by people obsessed with control and domination and doing that, then that's a catastrophe. But these deep-rooted habits, when we're swept away, if we don't have, and it's last because I think it should be sparing, but we each need to learn how to say no. I mean, I can just, I'm anxious, this and that, and trying to think of all the things that I'm not able to keep up with, and then they're healthy potato chips. I mean, the air fried, there's less oil in them, but I can just keep going. And occasionally, no. Now, you can do the where's this leading, but just a no. Now, I don't know about the teeth clenched and this and that, but I encourage us really to explore moments. And all this is done with kindness, patience, as we're developing this skill around vitakka, from being able to, when we're caught up in something, with a fine peg, knock out a coarse peg, a small or large peg, being able to come back to a sacred name, Guanyin, the Buddha, coming back to kindness. Or learning how to, with thoughts, think, hey, where is this leading? This, like hate is never overcomes by hate, just me hating. It's just poisoning me, for example, danger, or my potato chips, then an hour from now, I think, oh, why did I do it? I don't feel so good. Contemplating drawbacks. This agility with attention, learning how to look around something or close the eyes. This is so important. Noticing the obsession of mind, focusing on the little crack, the little flaw, and not able to practice looking around and ignoring, not in a deep, stressed, aversive way, but in becoming more skillful with attending. And this fourth one, this wide, patient with the pattern. Look at this thing. What's feeding this worry, this paralysis? Just exploring different ways of just calming it down a little with kindness, with patience. And the fifth one, the no. That I know where that goes. I mean, people that when we have addictive tendencies, and we know, like with alcoholism or with different addictions, that there can be such harm to ourselves, to our family, to our loved ones, to the fellow living beings. Sometimes a no in the toolbox, no. And it's really important. This is what the Buddha says. So he says, now with attending to another theme, that's the first one. Scrutinizing the drawbacks, that's the second one. Paying no mind or no attention to, that's the third one. Attending to the relaxation, the calming of the thought formation, that's the fourth one. Beating down, constraining, mind with awareness. All of this then allows the heart to steady, to settle, to unify. The one then, this one who does this is called someone who is mastery over the ways of thought formations, the ways of thought sequences. They think whatever thought they want to, or they don't think whatever thought they don't want to. They have severed craving, thrown off the fetters, and through right penetration of conceit have made an end to suffering. Ongoing training. I still feel like a beginner. It is good to be a beginner. Every day I cultivate these different skillful means. It's like a yoga. We do yoga for the body. Maybe someone does curls for the biceps. Oh, that's great, but no. It's great, the biceps, but what about the shoulders? What about the back? What about... This yoga is a yoga for the whole mind, especially around thinking. And I don't know about you, but thought, when we're at the mercy of our thoughts, it's difficult. And so even that first one's so profound, even just using a speck of a thought, like a what? Or the thought's there and then it dissolves. So we're using the thought, and that suddenly brings the attention to the fact thought's happening within this ground of listening. So this yoga, for example, all of these interrelate, can help us realize thought is in service of the heart, the deeper heart, the citta, the knowing, the listening. And thought is the great architecture of division. Well, me and you and here and there. As we get more skillful with thinking and learning how to think and then let the thoughts subside. When a thought then leads back into deep listening and silence, all the boundaries dissolve. And we realize we're just all in this together. This is not an exhaustive list. And of course, when we have a challenge, it can be wonderful to talk to a friend, to do various practices. We can encourage these, but these 5 themes, I really have found them very useful for our own deepening of our skill. So I offer these for your reflection. It really is an honor to make an effort to try to share something of the Buddhist teachings. Please forgive me if there's anything that I'm sure it can be said more skillfully. But I have a deep trust that this community, this family of kindred spirits, that we're all helping one another. And just as all the rivulets find their way to the ocean, the Buddha said, all our practice, it just takes us one place. It keeps leading us back into this purified heart, our true nature, which is always beckoning. So thank you for being here.